Welp, new year, new me.
Please! Please! No!
Just kidding. It's a new year and I am still the same sometimes scary, sometimes funny skeleton in a suit in a chair. Who is sometimes an a-hole, but that's not important. What is important is that the work continues. So today we're going to talk about the first horror movie released in theaters in 2025, The Damned. In the 19th century, a small fishing outpost in, I'm guessing, Greenland goes through quite a lot. I'll go further into it with spoilies, but first, let's get spooky! So the story focuses on Ava, a recent widow who is now in charge of a fishing outpost. She's in charge because her husband was the owner of the outpost and the boat, but he died last season, so now she inherited it. The cast is relatively small, 6 fishermen, Ava, who is the lady in charge, and an old woman who fixes the food and the housing and tells the occasional old wives' tale and superstition, which is guaranteed to make the worst out of a shitty situation. So the work at the station is regularly brutal, which is not a surprise, but the pay can be very good, according to the captain of the crew, played by the Hound.
He killed Lummy.
What the fuck's a lummy?
They have never had an unsuccessful season. However, not everyone makes it through the season. So the night of the darkest day of the season, our story begins. And everyone is drinking hard because they are going through a rough patch and had to eat their bait the night before. On top of that, they are snowed in, so they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. For that night, people are singing and chanting, and we even get treated to a scary story that ends in a laugh. This is one of the major highlights of the film. This scene almost reminds me of the best part of the Hobbit trilogy. In the first movie, people are eating together and having a good time and even clean up afterwards with proper manners.
Blunt the knives, bend the forks, smash the bottles and burn the corks.
And then the scene ends with a pretty solid song. It's a mix of fun, togetherness, and a smidge of seriousness. The next morning, everyone is getting ready for the day's fishing and they see a ship out in the distance near some pretty dangerous rocks. And it sinks.
What a buzzkill!
Everyone is shocked. No one is hallucinating. A decently sized ship just sank in the ocean within eyesight. Some people want to go and help out, but the Hound is just surrounded by
Lots of cunts.
He holds it together and reminds everyone that they have no food and can't help. Also, the rocks are very dangerous. One of the crew members points out that it's not his decision to make, it's not his boat. It's Ava's. And she reluctantly agrees with the captain. Ragnar, fucking coolest name ever, by the way. They only have one boat and one crew. They can't afford to risk it, and out of respect for those who surely perished, they won't fish that day. I think it's the next day or a few hours later that Ava is walking along the shoreline and sees a barrel from the sunken ship. She takes it to the captain and it's full of food and it's safe to eat. She figures everyone should go and check for more wreckage to salvage. They leave immediately before the tide takes the wreckage too far out into the sea, and this is where shit gets really shitty. Not exactly sure how shit can get shittier, but you'll get what I'm saying in a second. Their first bit of salvage is a box and it's near the rocks where the ship crashed. Our girl shines her lantern on the rocks and notices something, and it took me a while to notice it as well because they shot this scene way too dark. But some people survived the wreck and have been on the rocks all day. So in their desperation, they jump off and try to get onto the boat. But the boat can't house all of them, so the captain commands that they go back and no one gets on. Things then turn to Smeagol level of ugly. The captain gets pulled off the boat. Someone almost takes Ava, but one of the crew members buries an axe into the man's jaw and he just limps back into a watery grave. They get back to their station and in the box was some lamp oil and brandy. Not really anything anyone really thinks was worth their captain's life. Things are rough, and the next morning they see bodies from the wreckage on the shoreline and they put them all in boxes, because the ground was too hard to bury them. The old hag of the group is paranoid of Draugr. You know Draugr, right? So, to sum up, at least in this movie, Draugr are fleshy, vengeful spirits. Kinda like Jason Voorhees. There's plenty of superstitions behind the creatures. You gotta bind up the bodies with knotted ropes so that they won't get up, and you gotta nail them down with iron nails so that they can't get into your dreams. No one really believes it except the old hag. That night, people get some scary dreams, but don't amount to much more than just that. The next day, the fishing is so good that they celebrate that night. But during the celebrations, our girl is going a little crazy, hearing knocking coming from a nearby room, and everyone is weirded out by her. Keep this in mind, because it'll be happening a lot later. We also learn the only way to kill a druger is to burn it. The next morning, people are having a pretty serious fight, and then we find out that all of the fish from yesterday is gone, and so is the old hag. Everyone spreads out looking for her and the fish. They find the fish carcasses and even some old charms that the old bat was making near the coffins. Our girl gets curious and goes through the coffins, and they find out that one of the bodies is missing.
Uh-oh, spaghetti-o.
Everyone present goes along with the old wives' tale and binds and nails up all the bodies. We then get another vision jump scare from our main girl, Ava. Yeah, this is like the third time it's happened, and this shit is starting to feel like not enough. Later on, one of the fishermen is sick and mad. He starts choking out one of the other guys, but since he's a bigger guy, no one can get him off, so they resort to bashing his head over with a hammer, and it kills him. It's not bad, but we are an hour into the movie, and we really need more than what we have gotten. Times are getting tougher, and one of the guys wants to put up a cross and not fish, but everyone else is like, we're out of food, we need to fish.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Hey, what about the barrel of food that they got from the ship? It's only been like 2 days, and their fishing the other day was good. They should still have some food left. They get back from the ship, and one of the guys got injured. He was the new captain that had a much more personal relationship with Ava, and they even almost shagged, but sadly no one got any during this movie. Ava patches him up, and then we get another scary dream vision, and this one was actually pretty spooky.
Finally.
Ava goes to where the new captain is, and he knifed up the religious guy and comes after her. She tries to calm him down, and he does, but then he slits his own throat. Ava cries out, "I should have banged you when I had the chance!" Nah, I'm just being hilarious because this movie isn't spooking me enough. We are down to 4 people, and Ava is determined to destroy the monster. So they all go off into where they think it lurks during the day. They go through a very thick fog, and one of the men wanders off a cliff and falls to his death. Ava goes and checks on his body and finds the old woman there frozen to death. They aren't able to find the monster, so Ava is like, fuck it, let's just leave and risk it not being a solution to their problems. While on her side of the station, the Draugr attacks her and she's able to shoot it and set the thing on fire. She gets the hell out of Dodge and bumps into the 2 remaining fishermen saying, "Don't worry, I've killed it, and we're all safe." She then recalls back to what really happened, and it was one of the sailors from the boat before. Fuck knows how he got to the land from the rocks. She has a back and forth with him that we did not see when it first happened, so not only did we, the audience, see something that didn't really happen, but she blocked out the back and forth that they had during their encounter, and then she kills him, and the movie ends.
What? Oh, come on!
Yeah, I've got a few questions here. So, was there really a Draugr? There had to be, because one of the bodies was missing from the coffins. So what was the point in doing the bait and switch at the end? Was all of this in their heads? I get that guilt can be a pretty powerful thing in movies, The Ritual being a good example. But in this movie, one pretty level-headed guy turns himself into a Pez dispenser, and yeah, he axed one of the desperate sailors from before, but that guy nearly pulled Ava into the water, which surely would have killed her. I mean, it killed their captain, and he was the fucking Hound.
Lots of cunts.
Man, this was such a downer. This movie had some serious potential. I really liked the setting. I really liked the effort the filmmakers went through to build everyone's relationships and their personalities, and the detail in where we were and how rough everything was going to be for everyone. But here's the thing. This is a horror movie. And it really seems like the horror aspect was just not very well thought through. It's not enough to just give visions to one character. Yeah, other people had some scary dreams and 2 of them did go mad, but that's not enough. People did drop like flies, but I guess since the Draugr is a physical thing, I guess I was expecting more of a presence that just wasn't there. I wanted to see more of it in the shadows and making people more gradually go crazy. Because not everyone did, and those who did, they just went from 0 to 10 and then they died. Also, that ending had zero satisfaction, zero payoff. If I were to sum up every thought and feeling I had about the movie, I could easily turn to the expression, close but no cigar. I know right now it's considered fuck you January and we are probably going to be getting shit for the next few weeks, and this movie isn't in the shit category, but it's in theaters and I definitely didn't like it enough to recommend it for you to spend your real dollars for tickets. Speaking of recommendations, since we may not be getting anything new every week, I am very open to suggestions here. Write them down below. I know my vids comparing originals to remakes don't get too many views, but they're still fun to do, and it's a good excuse to finally watch an older flick that I've never seen. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and let us all start off the year with the spookies.